Hi, Lucana. Hi, Driana. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Irene. Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Enjoying Miami? Enjoying Dcentral?
Yeah.
What's not to enjoy about Miami?
Yeah?
Absolutely. Go ahead. No, I was going to say that's why I moved here, but
I'm from LA, and I lived in New York for more than 20 years and came to Miami a lot. I never was able to put my finger on it until last year at Art Basel, when to me now Miami is at the center of LA and Las Vegas.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
It's my first time here, so
Yes.
I know New York
what's your
really
impression?
well. I'm loving the weather.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's a little toasty. It's a little humid.
Listen, it's a little toasty and it's a little air conditioned inside, I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
So I think to kick things off, Driana, do you want to just introduce yourself, give a little background, talk about what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, of course. My name is Driana Pommier. I'm a marketing director at fintech.tv, and what we do is distribution of content on blockchain, cryptocurrency, and sustainability. And we're recording from the NYSE, Davos, and NASDAQ as well. We're coming out with London Stock Exchange, and soon another studio, which will be released.
Awesome. And we also have Lucana.
And by the way,
yes.
Started by a friend of mine, Vince Molinari, which I'm a big fan of, and also, just coincidentally, their domain name is fintech.tv, and .tv was my first startup.
Yeah,
no
can
way.
you believe
Yes.
that?
We bought the top level domain .tv from the island nation of Tuvalu for $50 million in 1999.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, so he's the MVP all the way.
Right?
You know?
The OG.
Yes.
Lou, you're a big name in this industry. You're founder of CryptoOracle Collective, which I'm going to ask you all about very soon. You're a community builder at Crypto Mondays. You're a partner at Blockchain Co-Investor. What have I missed off?
I'm also a special advisor at Mullis. So Mullis is the most successful investment bank to have been started in the United States in the last 20 years. Kenny Mullis, legendary Los Angeles-based banker, used to work with Milken, publicly traded $3 billion plus market cap, and they started a global blockchain group about 5 months ago. John Momtazi is the head of it. He was CFO of my first startup, .tv, and a massively talented guy and team, and I'm excited to be a part of that. They're going to bring a lot of capital to this industry.
Amazing. So I was doing a bit of research.
I'm sorry. I'm also CEO of the Blockchain Co-Investors Acquisition Corp. 1. We're a SPAC.
Okay.
So we raised $300 million in an IPO. I was actually at Breakpoint last year when the IPO happened. That was a fun day. And we 2 weeks ago announced our merger partner, a company called Kenta, KQENTA, and they are leaders in the tokenization of real-world assets.
Fantastic. Congratulations. So I was doing a bit of reading, and Lou, despite the fact that you were named Wall Street's Bitcoin expert by the Wall Street Journal, you actually had written that you hadn't seen the crypto light at the time, right? And it wasn't until 2017 on a conference you were involved in ICOs that you saw the crypto light.
I'm impressed. You really did some research here.
Talk me through that, because I really struggled to think.
Where's Kareem? I want to tell him you deserve a raise.
Yeah, pay raise.
Kareem!
Talk me through that, because I really struggle to think that this was an epiphanous moment.
So, it's weird. I had not experienced it before. A really, one of my best friends, incredibly smart guy, called me late 13, said, hey, what do you know about Bitcoin? What do you think about Bitcoin? I said, I think it's stupid. He said, how much do you know? I go, nothing. He says, well, don't be an idiot. I just made a big bet. It's a thing. So that was, one of the things I do when I want to get smart on something is I'll hold a conference call with the smartest people in the world who come because I bring an audience and they teach me. And so I've done this more than 100 times. This is the only time that the Wall Street Journal came and live blogged it. And they live blogged it by saying, we're on a conference call being held by Lou Kerner, Wall Street's Bitcoin expert.
I love that.
So literally, my first second in the industry. and when the Wall Street Journal says that, that's like truth to a lot of the world. And I'm literally invited the next day to keynote the biggest blockchain, the Bitcoin conference in New York.
And then since then, he's just upgrading and leveling up.
No, I didn't know. I looked at it. I really spent a lot of time. I made a few investments. I invested in a company called ChangeTip, and they were enabling people to tip in Bitcoin on Reddit.
Okay.
Right? Exactly. That was 2015. This guy, Nick Sullivan, super great guy. They ended up getting acqui-hired by Airbnb. And the second investment I made was, so I sent out this email to my email list, and I get back a response. And it's this guy who I known from my .tv. So once you're a domainer, you're always a domainer. Like, and he says, I didn't know you were into Bitcoin. Are you still into domain names? Because I can buy bitcoinwallet.com for $25,000, but I don't have $25,000. But if you send it to me, we can be partners. And I knew him, trusted him, sent him $25,000. The next day, he's on the Whois as the owner, so I'm feeling pretty good. 2 weeks later, he emails me and he says, hey, there's a new thing called Ethereum, and they're having an event in Miami next week. And I bought 3 minutes of airtime for $500 to go sell bitcoinwallet.com. Why don't you come? We can have a time of it. And I said, hey, enjoy. I had better things to do, which obviously were not better, but I didn't know. And he went there. That was the seminal meeting. A friend of mine bought 100,000 there, and it's now more than more than a billion. And anyways, and he sold Bitcoin Wallet for $250,000.
Wild.
Yes, exactly. 1 month in, and I had a 10x.
That is wild. Wait, but so talk me through this epiphanous moment where
I looked at it for like a year. ChangeTip went out of business, I think, during that time. The whole time the price is going down. And look, the human mind, I'm not yet involved. I still let the market tell me what truth was.
Okay.
And that's like, now I have a word for the tendency of markets to swing between bubbles and crashing bubbles. I call that, this is a perfect word, you got to write it down because it's awesome. I call that capitalism. Right? Because that's what it is. It's literally like the sun going up and down. And so now I don't let the market tell me anything because it's all noise.
Okay.
In the short run. In the long run, it's the truth, but in the short run, it's noise.
Okay, so actually you kind of preempted my next question, was like, let's talk about this crypto winter because it is cold.
Oh, and I can tell you about the crypto epiphany. So
yes.
Because that's a fun story too. So, ICO started going crazy, and on June 29th...
Wait, where are we, 2017?
June 29th, 2017,
okay.
I held a conference call because I wanted to learn about ICOs, because this is a thing I didn't understand them. I got the 4 smartest people in the world. I got Kathleen Brightman from Tezos, who the next week would have even a bigger ICO than I had a guy from Bancor, Eyal Herzog. They had just had the biggest 150 million. And I had Olaf Carlson-Wee, who's a VC in the industry. He's an OG. He started at 19 under the he had one condition, and that is they had to pay him in Bitcoin.
Nice, that's smart.
And
that's
Olaf,
really smart.
And Olaf said something that was kind of inconsequential, but now it's like a puzzle piece, right? You can just have a squiggle on a puzzle piece, but when you put that puzzle piece in with the other puzzle pieces, now you can see the puzzle. And that's what it was to me, and I didn't realize what it was, but there's a word for it. It's called a gestalt shift. Where one moment the world is one thing, and then you get a new piece of information and the world is something totally fucking different. And what I saw was, for the first time in history, we had a tool set to solve for the community instead of the man in the middle. And I thought that was going to be the biggest thing to happen in human history. And I had spent 20 years thinking deeply about community. Weirdly, I had ran from 03 to 06 the biggest social network in the world after .tv called Bull. And so that was seeing the crypto light. And I was in a manic state for 3 months because it felt like I had seen the future. It was blurry, and I needed a construct to really deeply understand it. And it took me 3 months, and I wrote a post called 7 Thoughts on Crypto after 3 months down the rabbit hole. And I've written more than 400 crypto posts. Most of the time, nobody cares. But once in a while, but on literally my first post, and I'm writing for me. I hope people like it, but if it's got to be heartbreaking to write for other people because most of the time, not so much. But anyways, I published it, and it was the most read thing tagged Bitcoin crypto on Medium for 3 days straight. Nice. And I didn't know it, but Medium ranks bloggers across more than 100 categories in terms of how influential they are. And after those 3 days, according to Medium, I was the 3rd most influential crypto blogger in the world.
So the Wall Street Journal got it right.
Yes. Well, and I say that proved 2 things, that did 2 things to me. One, it made me a guy in crypto, and I can tell you some of the wild things that came from that. But the second thing is it proved the first of my 7 thoughts on crypto.
Okay.
Which was, nobody knows anything.
And I feel like in this space, which I understand, I resonate with your comment about you having a manic 3 months, because the more you learn in this space, the kind of less you feel you actually...
So when did you see the crypto light?
You actually know. I'm still seeing the crypto light. I'm still learning. I'm so curious. I'm trying to talk to the people who know stuff because I don't know.
So, but that's an honest answer, and I say for me, what the most enjoyable thing about it, and it's been by a wide margin, I've had a pretty fun life. The greatest 5 years is the people who are here, right? The people in this room, because it's a lot of the smartest people in the world, because nobody nobody hears about Bitcoin, and goes, oh, wow, I get it. No, it's this weird thing where it's really complex, and 99.9% of the world looks and goes, never mind, and they move on, and like some tiny percentage of curious people, and that's a small percentage of the population, like says, hey, I'm going to go and try and understand it and spend the time and learn.
Yeah.
And it turns out that those are the most interesting people.
But I think with like any disruptive technology, there is a period of skepticism, and you have to go through that period of skepticism and just like learn, and talk to the right people. Hence why you're here, Lou.
I say, look, I'm obviously all for education, but I'm also very appreciative. We're not going to educate our way to mass market.
Yeah.
What we have to do, I'm educating my way to builders who are going to come and build shit that is going to be so easy to use and so compelling that people want to use it, right?
Yeah.
And that's, one of my greatest favorite stories of entrepreneurialism is at .tv. I was the largest streamer of video in the world in 2001 because we were reselling Akamai services to more than 200 broadcasters around the world. And Akamai told us, if we looked at you as one streamer, you're the biggest streamer in the world. But the pipes were tiny, and the experience sucked.
Yeah.
But I was waiting because I got fourth generation Hollywood, and I really thought this is going to be a thing. This is the future. It's going to happen on the thing. And I waited. Now 2005. Now the pipes are fat enough, and I'm running Bolt, the world's largest social network, so I can build it myself.
Right.
But there were 3 tiny companies that were already doing it, and I ended up buying the largest one for $250,000 and 5% of my company. And fast forward a month, we were 3 times bigger than number 2 because we were tracking it. And then somebody uploaded a video called Lazy Sunday.
Okay.
Andy Samberg's Saturday Night Live video onto the number 2 site. And that day, that website became the fastest growing website in the history of the internet. And 6 months later, Google bought it for $1.5 billion, and that's YouTube.
Okay.
And fast forward 5 years, Chad Hurley, the CEO, emails me, and he says, hey, we're having our 5-year birthday party. We'd love to fly you in to tell the story of when you called us, because that was the first time we thought, hey, maybe we're a company, somebody actually wants to buy us. So I'm like, that sounds like fun. So I flew in there, and he thanks me for coming, and I congratulate him on all his success, but I can't help myself. I have to say, because it's been killing me all these years, right? They should have uploaded it to Bolt. And I say, Chad, if they had uploaded Lazy Sunday onto Bolt, we would have been YouTube. And he laughs and he says, of course you would have been. He goes, but why would my brother have uploaded it to your site?
So, to borrow your metaphor, crypto has not had their Lazy Sunday moment.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. No, and I'm sitting here waiting for our Lazy Sunday moment. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it never? I don't know. But I'm not waiting. I'm trying to do everything I can to help the ecosystem. Because also I at a very high level, I say, when I saw the crypto light on June 29th, 2017, and I saw that for the first time, in history, we had a tool set to solve for the community, I really thought this is going to be the biggest thing in history. And I thought that a little more so every day for 4 years, and then about a year and a half, I saw something even bigger. I saw the metaverse. Right. And I think that's the big thing that's going on now, right? And I think for the rest of my lifetime, and I define, right, we use these words, I think we have to start with defining them. By the way, I define community, right? Anybody know? How do I define community?
I don't, but this was my next question, because this movement, to me, what's so interesting about it is community, and like the philosophy behind it. And that's what I'm really fascinated about. My question was, what does community mean to you in this space? And to both of you, actually.
Well, why don't you start?
So to me, community in this space is just like, people resonate towards different cryptocurrencies. There's so much conversation around it, and it's really, really fascinating to watch and see it grow. And you can go down so many different rabbit holes.
And have you become a part of any of the communities yet?
I've spoken to a lot of different people in different communities. I went down many, many different Reddit rabbit holes. So much of my job is researching, right? So absolutely.
Which you do a good job of.
And thank you very much. Pay rise.
You should do a little Snapchat, all of them.
Kareem!
But that's the thing I have noticed is people asking questions and sticking around communities, following certain people on YouTube. But community means different things to different people. So
about half the time I ask that question, I have to say in 30 seconds because people are really passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
And they'll go on and on and on. It means a lot to people.
Yeah, for me, community is just collaboration, to be honest, and keep it simple, because there's so many competition nowadays. Like, I want to be the best, I want to be that, and then that's something that you see on the crypto community because it's so new, we're still in the wild, wild west, and same thing with Metaverse. How do we integrate one thing with another, and how we grow this as one?
Yeah, right. It's wild, right? When you ask people how disparate, the answers are, and they're obviously all right. But to me, if I distill all those, you distill them down to their essence. To me, what a community is it's an ecosystem where when it works, everyone gets more out of it than they give.
Yeah, and I think as humans, we know communities for our entire existence, right? Like religion.
Oh, we're very social animals.
Yeah. So this is just like an evolution of that through different mediums.
Exactly. Well, so I've got many corollaries to that definition, but the main one is, my belief that a community can scale highly correlated to what I call value delta. Right, so a community makes something for community members at cost of X. They get it and value it at Y. And the bigger the difference between X and Y, the bigger the community can become. And that's why if you think about the world today, the biggest communities in the world are actually the things with the biggest value deltas. And we actually have a collective name for those things. You know what we call those things?
Go for it.
NFTs.
You actually just said it like 30 seconds ago.
No, go for it. Over
Religions.
To you. Religions, yeah.
Right? That's what religions are, right? Religions create faith at 50 cents a book. And we know how much people value it at. I'm not saying that in any pejorative way. I'm saying it the opposite. Oh my God. Those are the greatest communities ever. And I think for me, when I'm helping a community, I'm trying to spend 100% of my mind share helping them do one thing.
Okay.
How do I give more utility to my community members? That's what your job is. That's why people belong to a community, so they get utility.
Yeah, and I think touching upon what you said in terms of like religion, but like families as a community, friendship as a community.
When it works, right?
When it works.
And right, and I started thinking deeply about community, right? And at the atomic level, right? What's a community at the atomic level? It's two people. It's a marriage. A marriage is like the atomic level. And I said, fuck, I can't believe it. I went into the most important community of my life without a single conversation about governance and consensus.
How long ago was that?
I got married in 1991.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we would have been married. We were divorced now. It would have been 30 years if the divorce had happened, 3 months earlier. And lots of years were great. But again, it really is a community. And if you think, right? And why do marriages end, right? Because one or both the people say, I'm no longer getting out more than I'm putting in. And who wants that? Nobody wants that.
Or was it what you were saying earlier about what makes a successful marriage? Someone living in LA, someone living in New York. What was that?
No. That was a joke. I grew up in LA. Yeah. I grew up in LA, and nobody I grew up with left LA for 5 seconds. Why would you? Right? And but I've been living in New York for 25 years, and when people from LA would ask me, what are you doing? Why did you move? I would say that if somebody from the East Coast marries someone from the West Coast, where do they live? And the answer is wherever the wife wants to. And so, that was my life. Yes, and that's a lot of And then Chris Rock actually had another on the other end though, when you go. Chris Rock, like his latest thing, he's had people raise their hand. He says, how many men in the audience are married in a sea of hands, and how many of you guys own a house in a sea of hands? He gets a big smile on his face. He goes, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Going kind of.
And by the way, I bring that up only because my ex is super smart lady, divorces me, ties up all my assets. So literally, I'm been working my ass off 40 years. One day I wake up and I am totally fucking broke. Not a coincidence. 2 months later, I saw the crypto light.
Everything happens for a reason, right? A door closes, a window opens, and you.
But you have to have your mind open, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To it, right? And before it, even though I had looked at it deeply, I hadn't seen it. But now, because of what happened to me, right? And I think that that's only going to happen to a tiny percentage of people, right? We've got to do this mass market thing. We've got to give them lazy Sunday.
We got them lazy Sunday.
Yes.
But do either of you have a philosophy that you live by? And do you think communities and crypto communities, and especially post FTX, philosophy should be more important and ingrained in like certain communities?
So I will let you go first.
Well, for me personally, I have one orthodoxy.
Okay.
And it's the one thing that I will never, ever, at least, I hope, stray from, and that's not to have any orthodoxies.
Okay.
Because they're stupid, because they're blinders that say, don't look over there, don't look over there. I want to see everything.
Just curiosity, And that's something that you said, like you have to be open to be able to understand Bitcoin for the second time. And if you're not open, if you're not curious, or you're seeing, anything that comes in line with child's eyes of like, okay, what's next? How can we do it? How can I play with it? Because everything at the end of the day is a game.
Right.
Either it's going to make it fun and excited, or you're not. It's up to you. It's really up to you.
Okay, so I know we have to wrap up soon. I've taken up way too much of your time, but these are
I will say, following up on that, kind of one of my favorite stories about humanity, just to deepen a little bit, is a story about a mother who's got twin 12-year-old sons. One's always happy, one's always sad. So she brings a psychologist, what's going on? So the psychologist splits them up, puts them in their own room for 5 minutes, puts them each in a big box for 5 minutes, and then he fills the box with horse shit for 5 minutes. Goes, one is always sad, get me out of here, this is horrible, oh my God, get me out of here. Takes him out of there. Goes to one who's always happy. He goes, oh my God, why are you so happy? They take him out. Oh my God, he's so happy. Finally, they're able to calm him down. Say, what are you so happy about? He goes, oh my God, He says, I love horses. I know with all this horse shit here, there's got to be a horse somewhere nearby.
All about perception.
Yeah, that is completely true. Actually, in more of my research, correct. Hello. You referenced, and it's actually one of my favorite poems, Rudyard Kipling's poem "If." As a reference to tough times is what I took from that. And this is actually a really great example of Victorian Stoicism. And it is advice from him to his son. And it's incredible. So if you haven't listened to it or read it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and the weird thing about it is, for me, it's the most epic poem. I brought up 3 boys. In whatever moment in life that's teachable moment, there is a line from that poem. And, for this one, it's that, there were actually a few of them, but my favorite is, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat both imposters just the same.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really relevant to today, where we are in such turbulent times.
It's hard. It's hard, yeah. But my favorite book by a wide margin on entrepreneurialism is The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
I haven't actually read that. Okay.
It's Ben Horowitz, Andreessen Horowitz. It's about this time of starting companies before they started, and I forgot the name of the company, but it was hot and then it was cold, and it's just, it was 300 pages of it's really fucking hard all the time for everybody who does it. So if you do it, don't complain about it.
No, absolutely. We were talking about, like, we're both sports, right?
Yeah.
I'm training for my first marathon.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Well, when I finish it, then you can congratulate me. But it's all about discipline and consistency. If you don't have discipline and if you don't have consistency, like, yes, you're going to start, but you're not going to finish. So.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and it's absolutely freezing and you have to go for that run.
Yeah.
Your mind tells you no. You got to do it. Okay, so to wrap things up, when
really?
do you, I'm sadly.
Going to Switzerland, so.
Is there a tissue anywhere?
When do you project we're going to have our crypto lazy Sunday moment?
September 6th, 2026 at 9:22.
Okay, yeah, you heard it here.
Yes.
I don't think anybody knows. I think it's random, right? I mean, and it's incumbent on us to like try enough things, and figure it out.
Yeah.
I missed off one thing that I really wanted to ask you about, and it's very important.
Please do.
Can you tell us a little bit more about CryptoOracle Collective?
Oh yes, no, thank you very much for that, because that's my passion at the moment. And what the collective is, we're a decentralized Web3 advisory service. and we started in July with 24 Web3 experts. We're now over 130. We're a community, so we try and give our members, lots and lots of value. But the main problem that we're solving for is lots of awesome people want to come and work in Web3. Lots of awesome projects want to hire them, but often they want to pay in illiquid tokens or equity, and people have rent to pay and they get hungry sometimes. So the collective takes in those illiquid tokens and equity, and we emit liquid tokens that people can then use either to get liquid and pay their rent, or they can hold it now instead of kind of having a lottery ticket, which is kind of what every token is at the beginning. You now have an index of all of these different projects, and so I think we have an opportunity, I think, to become hopefully help thousands or millions of people come and work in Web3.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Crypto Mondays, where can people find more about Crypto Mondays?
Go to Google, whatever city you're in, type in Crypto Mondays, NYC, Crypto Mondays LA. We just opened up this week Crypto Monday Santiago. 3 weeks ago I was at Crypto Monday Saigon. That rocked. Oh my God, that Vietnam's the #1 country in the world. And if you type it in and there's a Crypto Mondays there, join it and go to it, and you'll hang out with other people who are as passionate as you are and about crypto. And if there's not one there, then email us and start it. And what you will learn is what everybody learns who has run a successful Crypto Monday is the more you do for the community, the more the community takes it, multiplies it, and gives it back.
And how many cities is Crypto Mondays now?
We have 46 active cities
around
the world, and I've been to 27 of them.
Okay.
And we're adding 1 to 2 a month, so it's a struggle for me to keep up.
Fantastic, and I'm going to check out the one in London.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, amazing. We're going to have to wrap this up. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.